Good morning, students. We are going to start a new chapter, chapter number 13, Organisms and Population, which is the part of the science branch ecology, in which we study about the organisms, their population, and their environment in which they survive. We'll be studying following topics in this chapter: organism and its environment, and population. Our living world is fascinatingly diverse and amazingly complex. Diverse means great variety, complex means very complex structure, very more of the things are there in the uh, living world. We can try to understand its complexity by the investigating processes at various levels of biological organization. That is, it may be level of macromolecules, cell, tissue, organ, individual, organism, population, communities, ecosystems, and biomes. At any level of biological organization, we can ask two types of questions. For example, when we hear the bulbul singing early in the morning in the garden, we may ask, how does the bird sing? Or why does the bird sing? The how type questions seek the mechanism behind the process, while why type questions seek the significance of the process. अगर बुलबुल बर्ड गाना गा रही है तो देर विल बी टू क्वेश्चंस, कैसे गा रही है और क्यों गा रही है. बोथ द आंसर्स वी कैन डिराइव फ्रॉम द biology science. For the first question, the answer might be in terms of operation of voice box and vibrating bone in the bird, whereas for the second question, the answer will be that the bird needs to communicate with its mate during breeding season. When you observe nature around you, by the scientific frame of mind, you will certainly come up with many interesting questions of both the types. First, why are night blooming flowers generally white? How does the bee know which flower has nectar? Why does cactus have so many thorns? How does chick spurs recognize her own mother? And so on. We have already learned in the previous classes that ecology is the subject which studies the interaction among the organism and between the organism and its physical environment, that is abiotic environment. Ecology is basically concerned with the four levels of biological organization: organism, population, communities, and biomes. In this chapter, we explore ecology at organismic level and population level. Organism and its environment. Ecology at the organismic level is essentially physiological ecology, which tries to understand how different organisms are adapted to their environments in terms of not only survival but also reproduction. You may have learnt in earlier classes how the rotation of our planet around the sun and the tilt of its axis cause annual variation in the intensity and duration of temperature, resulting in distinct season. These variations together with annual variation is precipitation. Remember, precipitation includes both rain and snow. Account for the formation of major biomes such as desert, rainforest, and tundra. We can see these in the upcoming figure. Here is the mean annual temperature and mean annual precipitation. We can see Arctic and alpine tundra, coniferous forest, temperate forest, desert, grassland, and tropical forest. So, this is how the precipitation and temperature are related to each other in the different kinds of biomes. Regional and local variations within each biome lead to the formation of wide variety of habitats. Major biomes of India are shown in the figure. A. Tropical rainforest. B. Deciduous forest. C. Desert. And D. Sea coast. These are the four biomes that are found in India. Our planet Earth, life exists not just in a few favorable habitats, but even in the extreme and harsh habitat. Scorching Rajasthan desert, rain soaked Meghalaya forest, deep ocean trenches, torrential streams, permafrost, snow-laden polar regions, high mountain tops, thermal springs, and stinking compost pit, to name a few. Even our intestine is a unique habitat for hundreds of species of microbes. What are the key elements that lead to so much variation in the physical and chemical condition of different habitats? The most important ones are temperature, water, light, and soil. We must remember that physico-chemical components alone do not characterize the habitat of an organism completely. The habitat includes biotic components also, pathogen, parasite, predators, and competitors of the organism with which they interact constantly. We assume that over a period of time, the organism had, through natural selection, evolved adaptations to optimize its survival and reproduction in its habitat. Each organism has an invariably defined range of conditions that it can tolerate, diversity in the resources it utilizes, and a distinct functional role in the ecological system. All these together comprise its niche. Major abiotic factors include: first, temperature. It is the most important ecologically relevant environmental factor. You are aware that average temperature on land varies seasonally, decreases progressively from equator towards the poles, and from plains to the mountain tops. It ranges from sub-zero levels in polar areas and high altitudes to more than 50 degrees Celsius in tropical deserts in summer. There are, however, unique habitats such as thermal springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents, where average temperatures exceed 100 degrees Celsius. It is general knowledge that mango trees do not and cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada and Germany. Snow leopards are not found in Kerala forest, and tuna fish are rarely caught beyond tropical latitudes in the ocean. Underline all these facts and learn them wholeheartedly. You can appreciate the significance of temperature to living organisms when you realize that it affects the kinetics of enzymes and through it the metabolic activity and other physiological functions of the organism. A few organisms can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of temperatures. They are called eurythermal, but a vast majority of them are restricted to a narrow range of temperatures. Such organisms are called stenothermal. The level of thermal tolerance of different species determine to a large extent their geographical distribution. Can you think of a few eurythermal and stenothermal animals and plants? Let's find out the names of them. In recent years, there has been a growing concern about the gradually increasing average global temperatures. If this trend continues, would you expect the distributional range of some species to be affected? Yes, of course. If the temperature will be changed, the species will also be affected. Next factor is water. Water is another most important factor influencing the life of organism. In fact, life on earth originated in water and is unsustainable without water. Its availability is so limited in deserts that only special adaptations make it possible for organisms to live there. The productivity and distribution of plants is also heavily dependent on water. You might think that organisms living in oceans, lakes, and rivers should not face any water related problem. But it is not true. For aquatic organism, the quality, that is chemical composition, pH of water becomes important. The salt concentration measured as salinity in parts per thousand is less than 5 in inland waters, 30 to 35 in the sea, and more than 100 in some hypersaline lagoons. Some organisms are tolerant of a wide range of salinities, are known as euryhaline, but others are restricted to narrow range known as stenohaline. Many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa. Another factor is light. Since plants produce food through photosynthesis, a process which is only possible when sunlight is available as a source of energy. We can quickly understand the importance of light for living organisms, particularly autotrophs. Many species of small plants, herbs, and shrubs growing in forest are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very low light condition because they are constantly overshadowed by tall canopied trees. Many plants are also dependent on sunlight to meet their photoperiodic requirement for flowering. For many animals too, light is important in that they use the diurnal and seasonal variation in light intensity and duration, that is photoperiod, as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. The availability of light on land is closely linked with that of temperature since the sun is the source of light and temperature. But deep, that is more than 500 meters in the ocean, the environment is dark and its inhabitants are not aware of the existence of celestial source of energy called sun. What then is their source of energy? The spectral quality of solar radiation is also important for life. The UV component of the spectrum is harmful to many, while not all the other components of light are available for marine plants living at different depths of the ocean. Among the red, green, and brown algae that inhabit the sea, which is likely to be found in the deepest waters. Why? All because of the UV component. Next factor is soil. The nature and properties of soil in different places vary. It is dependent on the climate, weathering process, whether soil is transported or sedimentary, and how soil developed occurred. Various characteristics of the soil, such as soil composition, grain size, and aggregation, determine the percolation and water holding capacity. Percolation मतलब पानी का नीचे उतरना, और water holding capacity मतलब वो कितना पानी को hold करके रख सकते हैं. So that capacity of the soil. These characterize along with the parameters such as pH, mineral composition, and topography, determine to the large extent that vegetation in any area. This in turn dictates the type of animal that can be supported. Similarly, in the aquatic environment, the sediment characteristics often determine the type of benthic animals that can thrive there.